Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Here on English, what are we going to be discussing in today's video? It's not really a lesson, but it's more about advice. As I often hear many students asking me, how can I improve? How can I be more fluent at speaking English? So that is what we are going to address today. Today's topic is 7 tips guarantees to help you to be fluent in speaking English. Okay, so setting targets. To be realistic about the goals that you have. Try to be achievable, realistic and obtainable. Some students, many students in fact, feel like it's a sprint. Well, that's not necessarily true for everybody. Sometimes it can be a long distance race where you should take your time rather than trying to do it as quickly as possible. Everybody has a slightly different learning behaviour or ways that actually help you as an individual, but some of these tips should be applicable for the majority of students. So setting targets to think about how often we can practice English, how often we can learn English. As comments that I receive from many students will be things like, I just don't have the time. How can I fit my classes? How can I fit my practice into my busy schedule? And this is a common concern, not just with learning English, but learning any language or learning anything, if how we can fit it into our busy lives. So to plan ahead and to be realistic, try not to bite off more than you can chew. Be realistic in your goals. Try to set little chunks, maybe 15 minutes a day or half an hour every 2 days. The routine is up to you, but something which is not too much or will not take away too much of your private time, your time with your family and your friends. One of the other concerns that many students mention is when they compare themselves to other learners. They say, oh, this person's at this standard, why can't I reach that level as well? And this can be a bit of a good motivator, but sometimes it can also be a negative if you do it too much, and it can allow you to be disillusioned. So focus on your own targets, something which you feel is good for yourself. Stick to those targets, and when you achieve them, you will get a sense of satisfaction and you will see growth, improvements, performance indicators. These are all good motivators, positive reinforcements. One of the other things that a lot of students face is trying to find times to practice. When can I speak? Can I speak with my colleagues, my friends, with other people? And this is something that can be a little bit of an issue. There are services online where you can speak with people either with voice over the internet or through text messaging. Either way of communication is often free, and it can give you a chance to be able to communicate, practice and to put into practice the lessons you've learned from your class, from your books and from your colleagues. So this is something else, looking at the resources available on the internet, and then that can allow you to connect with either native speakers or other people speaking English as a second language. The next point, moving on from the previous, is about having a routine and sticking to it. Some learners like to be able to plan, say, before I go to work or on the commute, when I'm on the bus, on the subway, when I'm in the car, I can listen to an audiobook, I can listen to people speaking English. And having this as a set routine a number of times a week, a number of times a month, and sticking to those as well, being consistent with your practices. Find a time when it doesn't affect your other things in your life. As I've already mentioned, many people have lots of things, lots of different commitments in their busy lives, but try not to affect those too much and find a time, a suitable time, when you can practice the language. I'm not sure about yourself, but I know for me, if I practice for an extended period of time, I can be quite exhausted. So try not to do too much practice. Thinking about what is right for you, if it's 1 hour, 5 hours, or just 15 minutes a day. The length of time is flexible. You can find something suitable for yourself. I've already mentioned being able to listen to audiobooks. Audiobooks are a good source of English. However, sometimes the vocabulary connected in there can be quite complicated. So trying to find a resource which is suitable, which is graded to your level. There are many podcasts out there. Some of them are by native English speakers. There can be podcasts on a wide variety of topics. I would suggest focusing on something which is of particular interest to you. So rather than listening to something that you just don't really enjoy, you don't really care about, and you don't feel connected with, that also can be a bit of concern for different people. So try to have something that you are interested in, whether it's movies, entertainment, music, games, exercise, and the list goes on. But this kind of personal interest can drive you to really want to listen more and focus on these kind of podcasts. Think about what accent you want to focus on if you want to practice on the British English like mine, or the American English, or any other country. And then you can find people with that accent. Particularly good if you are struggling to understand people from different countries. Podcasts are a really good resource to be able to listen to people from those countries. Counter to that point I just mentioned about finding something interested in, try to challenge yourself. Listen to something that you normally wouldn't listen to. The benefit of this is that you can expand your vocabulary. Looking or listening about different podcasts, different topics, can give you a exposure to different kinds of vocabulary connected with that topic. This is probably more of an advanced tip. When you get a lot higher, then you can start to think about how else can I continue growing my general vocab. And articles and reading in general. This again is something that a lot of students ask me about when they speak about what books are suitable. Should I read books? And I feel that this is difficult advice because it is incredibly subjective. Some students can feel disillusioned if you start to read a book and you find it too complicated. There are too many examples of vocabulary, words that you don't know, so you spend so much time trying to find those words in a dictionary. And this can affect your confidence, your feeling of how comfortable you are, or your skill level. So, in this situation, I would suggest reading shorter articles, something which isn't so complicated or isn't quite as long as a full novel. Something which, as I've already said, is achievable. Something you can read in maybe 10 minutes. You don't have to have days and weeks of commitment to try to get through a really long book. There are good books out there, and if you search on the internet, there will be lists of graded readers, graded particularly for your level of English. Sometimes these books may be for younger readers, they may be young adults or children's books. And this can also have a little bit of a confidence issue. If you're an adult and you're reading a children's book, you again don't always feel connected with the source material, and that can be a motivating problem. So reading, I would suggest, as something you do later on when you are more confident and you can achieve those goals. Reading books, that is, but reading articles, that's something I recommend to many students. Kind of connected with the point about reading is computer games. And I know many people have a negative opinion that games are for children, but one of the really good resources with games is dialogue. A story-driven game will have so much dialogue, interaction between characters. There are games out there like visual novels or point-and-click games which are based on text. And this is also an opportunity for you to be able to read shorter passages. It won't be quite as long as a book, but you'll be able to read a paragraph, read a sentence, follow a conversation, and it can test your understanding. I recommend a series of games which don't really focus on time, so you can take as long as you want on there. Visual novel games, point and click, Secret Monkey Island, Ace Attorney games. There's no time commitment, so you can take as long or as short as you need, but it allows you to be able to look at those words, practice those words, without really being stressed too much. One of the other benefits of computer games as well is games online. Here you can have access to people from all over the world. You can play multiplayer games with other people. If you want to speak, you can. If you want to base on instant messaging, that's also an opportunity. But it's another way to be able to connect with native speakers. And quite often there's not an ongoing cost. There might be a minimal cost, but there is some options there. But I would also suggest being careful with those. Some of the games can be not suitable for children, or they can also not really be the kind of experiences you like. So have a look at it. Find something that fits your personality and fits your learning goals as well. The next point is chatting online. Similar to being able to chat while playing a computer game or speaking with people on Twitter, on different social networks, Twitter, Facebook, Weibo, WeChat. The list goes on and it changes every year. But the internet is also a place where I would recommend being safe. Try not to give out too much information, particularly the sensitive private information. To be safe, depending on your age, depending on your background, the internet can be a little bit of a minefield. So be careful whatever you choose to do. If you want to be based text only, you can do voice, you can do video, but this is completely up to you, and I would recommend being careful whichever option you choose. One of the benefits of being able to do this is, again, you can practice your learnings, practice all your sentence construction, your vocabulary, your speaking, your listening, your reading, your writing. It can have a lot of opportunities if done sensibly and carefully. My final tip for the day is kind of a difficult one, as not everybody has access to this. But if you can learn with a partner, somebody who's at the same level as you or maybe a little bit higher, this collaborative learning experience can be a great motivator. I know it is for me. From my own experience, if I try to learn a language completely by myself, I often get distracted or focus on different things. If I want to go out and do exercise, or if I want to watch a movie, then I would often do that instead. But if I'm working with somebody else, it gives me more structure, more like a routine, having achievable goals and being able to practice with somebody else and to be able to learn together. And you can help each other. You can be very supportive and collaborative. There are options as well for people who are working and you are using English within your job. This is similar to what I've just mentioned about a couple of different things. Using the language in practice, in your work, reading emails. Emails are a good source of opportunity for you to write, for you to be able to read. However, the grammar or the communication style isn't always the same as what you can have in conversational English. People when they're writing emails don't always focus on grammatical accuracy. And it's the same with text messages, and if you use Facebook or Twitter, people don't always focus on the grammar. It's a different style of communication. And emails has that as well. And as I said, with some computer games, with other things, there's no time commitment. You're not forced to be able to respond too quickly. Well, not in all cases anyway. But you can take your time, you can consider carefully exactly what you want to say. And that's one of the good things about emails. Also at work, you may have an exposure to international colleagues where you can speak to them if you feel comfortable, if you feel confident. You can use this time to be able to speak face to face with another native speaker or somebody speaking English as a second language. And I recommend taking the opportunity to be able to speak in a comfortable and supportive environment. But remember, the people that you're speaking with, they may not actually know you're just learning. So you could tell them that you want to practice. Be open about it and say that you are still beginning or you're still at a middle level or whichever level you're at. But make it clear that you want somebody to be able to give you feedback or to be able to build your confidence in speaking with other people. I think that's all of my tips at the moment. If anybody who has been watching this has any other tips, any other comments, something that's worked for you, or maybe something that you disagree with, your own experiences, please leave them in the comments box. I will read everything that you leave there. But it's been a pleasure. Remember to click like and subscribe and come back for any future videos here on English, English, English. Stay safe and goodbye.